Howdy and welcome back. In today's episode of Does It Take Glock Mags? The answer is no, it takes Beretta mags. Today I'm going to be talking about the ADB-92 from Sern Defense, which is an adapter that allows you to take M9 magazines and put them into an AR-15 lower. Listed on your screen now are the requirements that Sern Defense put out to make this adapter work properly, and it is what I have installed in my gun currently. Even though this adapter cycles perfectly, I noticed some other issues that were pretty prominent that popped up very quickly.
No bolt. Lock open.
And almost all of those issues were related to the last round bolt hold open feature. Very unfortunate because that's the reason I went for this adapter instead of going a different route, and it was so well advertised on the page. I noted pretty quickly that it wasn't every single magazine that was having the last round bolt hold open issue, but it happened enough that I wanted to do some further testing with it.
And again, bolt didn't lock open.
So I went ahead and grabbed 3 random magazines to try out.
That was a good one. Nope. No. That's 1 out of 3. Did what I wanted it to. Let's give it another round. Round 2.
And this does have some weird little quirks you have to train to. Even though the ergonomics are basically the exact same as an AR-15 or a regular AR-9, they are a little bit different, and it's worth bringing up.
It's getting really weird trying to use that button, so maybe we'll do it the other way. Toss it. Load your next one. Nope. So it really likes this magazine for some reason. We'll hold the bolt open with this one in particular. I should mark this one down, but the other two it doesn't seem to like very much. There we go. Good. No. Yeah, definitely just like that one. But just to be safe, we'll do it one more time. Alright, this is going to be our last attempt.
The only real change to your ergonomics is that your mag release button is moved from right here to right here, which is a little quirky, but not too bad.
Nope, wrong button.
Although, admittedly, it's close enough to the original controls that it did take me a little bit to get used to it.
Nope. Yes. Okay, I think I have 40 some odd magazines, and apparently I need to go through them and figure out which ones it is that this particular build likes. That'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to go ahead and do some of that, and we'll talk about this again later. Yep.
Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the rest of this video is going to be nerd testing of my magazines to see which ones this gun likes and which ones it doesn't. And I'm really against wasting your time, so if you just want to figure out what my conclusions are, you can go ahead and jump to this timestamp here. For everybody else who wants to see how I got those conclusions, this is going to be test number 1, where I'm going to run through all of my magazines one at a time to see which ones lock open and which ones do not. Quick point of note is that every magazine that I'm going to be running through besides 2 are going to be military surplus M9 magazines that have had God only knows how many rounds through them. That will be important for later. The magazines that we're testing are going to be put into 3 categories. One of them is going to be bad last round bolt hold open. 2 is good last round bolt hold open, and a magical 3rd category that we're going to get into later. I'm also going to be assisted during today's testing by Miss Black, somebody that you've heard in the background before but has never really showed up in a video, so thank you very much for coming out to help me out today. I'm also going to get out of the way real quick. You're going to see a rubber band wrapped around the upper and lower receivers. That's there for a reason. Basically, I had a theory that if the rubber band was on there, it would hold the Sern Defense adapter in the utmost position that it could go, that would force the magazines to lock back more frequently. Turns out it doesn't actually do anything, but it was on there anyway for testing purposes. I took it off at the end for those of you who were annoyed by seeing it. I'm not going to lie, I have a lot of magazines to get through here, so I'm going to go ahead and speed it up until anything important happens.
happen. Oh!
What?
Look at it.
Oh.
Hold on. Go ahead and eject it. Reload. Same magazine again. We're gonna try that again. Same problem though. Failure to eject though, I saw it.
It's right there.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and resend that one. Wonder what it should be there. I mean, it locked back twice. I'm going to do the verification test. So theoretically, all of these that locked open should continue to lock open. All the ones that don't will continue to not lock open. So we're going to run all of these again, and then we're going to rerun the loser circle to see what data we can pull from.
It's pretty shocking, actually, that only about 50% of the magazines that we were using actually triggered the last round bolt hold open like they were supposed to. But I have a pretty good theory as to what's causing that, and it basically comes down to the magazines that I'm using. Even though Sern Defense clearly marks on their website that these are for Beretta 92 magazines, I'm using M9. Now, the astute of you know that there's not really a difference between those two, but I think that in my case there actually is. Because only my M9 magazines fail, not the M92 magazines, and even the ones that were passing start having issues like this one right here.
Ooh. Not that one.
Unfortunately, in order to show you what I need to show you, we need to jump out of the test real quick. We'll do that, and then we will come right back here. And we're going to do this against a white wall so you can really see what's going on here. The magazine on your right is the M92, the magazine on your left is the M9, and you can clearly see how much higher up the follower is on the M92 magazine compared to the M9 one, and that's giving the bolt face of the AR9 something to grab onto to hold that bolt hold open. And what's happening is my surplus magazines are just getting ground down over time. I think that's just part of them being surplus. Like I said, I have no idea how long these were in service before they came to me. And you can even see it on the front, how they both have two different profiles there. That's what's going to be causing us grief. Because these have been ground down, some of them more than others, they will be more or less reliable than some of the other ones in the collection. I didn't cherry pick this one, I just grabbed one off the top. And you'll see later that the magazines with white dots on them are the ones that were consistently passing, so even the best ones that I had still have this issue. And those issues are going to manifest themselves like this, where some of the magazines that were working properly will start having issues. Ones that weren't working will start working, and then there's going to be some weird little anomaly ones in there where a magazine will lock the last round bolt hold open feature open, and then it'll drop again on its own.
Okay, so far, all of these ones here have consistently worked more than once, so I'm going to put a dot on them. Maybe, if we got time, we can run through them a third time. So if it's got a dot on it, that means that it has passed the test 2 times. We want consistency for sure with this. But I want to move over to the loser circle. But are you having fun?
I'm having fun.
Good. So we're not expecting these ones to work, but we'd be happily surprised. Well,
and this is going to be the loser's verification circle. These are going to be all the ones that did not lock the bolt hold open at least once so far.
I don't mind those.
well, LMAO. I wonder if that's the same one that made you stovepipe earlier, too.
Oh, yeah. Ow! That popped me in the finger.
Now we're going to introduce the last category of magazines. These are the weird ones that do quirky things, where they stop working when they're supposed to be, and they start working when they're not supposed to be, that kind of thing. Now here's something that's interesting. If you look at here, Miss Black is having a lot of trouble getting that magazine out of the mag well, and it turns out that what was going on is that one of the roll pins came out.
Oh, that's interesting.
Oh.
That roll pin's walking out. Hold on. Let me see that. I'll just keep going on. Roll pin. I'm going to put some Loctite in there. Let's go ahead and retry these 3. If they succeed a second time in a row, put them into the winner's circle. Fail. Get that shit out of here. If both of these two pass again, I want to put an X and a dot on them. And any of these that fail over here, we're going to put an X on them next to the dot. That way they know that sometimes they're consistent, but not always. These 2 right here are the 2 that just passed twice. Pass. So that one's going to get a dot and an X. failed. Very scientific, this. Only the ones that can pass 3 times in a row are going to be with this gun.
And I think you get the flow of what's about to happen here. So...
That felt weird. I felt it lock back and then drop again.
Did it pass?
Yeah, that one's weird though. We've got 13 that passed 3 times in a row. However, an abnormal amount of those failed on the last one, so I'm going to run them all a 4th time real quick because there's not very many of them, and I really want to see what happens here. And then we'll call this a done test. These will be the ones, you know, the guys. I'm not buying new ones.
Well, are you ready to be done? Because I'm ready to be done. Let's go ahead and get this over with and over to the final thoughts.
"11 magazines out of this entire lot were consistently good 4 times in a row. That doesn't mean they won't fail in the future, but they didn't fail 4 times in a row.
Let me go ahead and wrap this up with a nice little bow for you. This is for everybody who didn't sit through all the testing or people who had things to do with their day. So, the first big takeaway is that this build cycles just fine. I did have a couple of hang-ups with failures to eject, but that was because of either the bolt, the ejector, the extractor, but nothing to do with this adapter, I'm pretty sure. I did notice some quality control issues when it came to the roll pin that's used to hold the magazine release in place. That kept trying to fall out on me. It's not a huge deal, but for $190, whatever this thing costs, I would have expected a better build quality. I put some blue Loctite to hold that roll pin in place, and so far it hasn't fallen back out, but I will report if there are issues with it later. Right now on screen, you're seeing me do an abridged version of the same test, where I just grabbed a handful of random magazines. Some of them work, some of them do not work for that last round bolt hold open, but they all cycled properly, even with the big rubber band removed. And that brings me to what, in my opinion, is the most important takeaway from this entire video, and that is that you need to make sure that you use new production magazines with this adapter. It really does not like my M9 surplus magazines at all. I mean, 2/3 of them don't function properly in it. Even though last round bolt hold open isn't the most important thing in the world, I like my guns to be consistent, whether they're consistently good or consistently bad. I would rather just have a gun that I have to charge every time, the one that may or may not lock back. And if I wanted a pistol caliber carbine that I had to charge every time I wanted to reload it, I would have bought another Kel-Tec Sub 2000. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed. After all, I put this entire build together just so I would have a platform that I could run all of my M9 magazines out of, and the performance is not super great out of it. I've had those M9 magazines much longer than I've had this build, and I have an M92 XI that I really like, and that Beretta XI does not have these same issues that this build has. As in, it slide locks back after an empty magazine, regardless of which one I pick out of this collection here. For the time being, I'm going to continue running my M9 surplus magazines with this build. After all, about 10 of them continuously work. That's enough of them that this will continue working for my purposes. Be warned that if you shoot a lot and you have new production magazines, as those magazines get broken over time, you may start seeing a lot of the issues that I'm having here. That's about enough negativity, I think. Let's go ahead and do something fun. And for those of you who made it this far, I'm going to do a quick little switcheroo. Instead of just practicing with the last round bolt hold open over and over again, now we're going to actually switch over to training. So here's some quick reload drills, one for one, so you can see how it looks when it's actually chugging along perfectly. Once I got this gun dialed in with the magazines that it does like, it runs like a typewriter, and my god is it fun. It controls smoothly, and it controls consistently, especially once you get over that magazine release button. I actually almost prefer the magazine release button where it's been moved to from where its original position is. After all, I really like my Henry AR-7 a lot, and it's very similar to how that controls. That's all I got for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around.
My god,
I just got a new prescription.
that was amazing.